Have you ever noticed how some people, after losing everything, love, stability, identity, suddenly grow calm in a way that feels almost unreal? They no longer cling to what slipped away, no longer fight to be understood, no longer beg life to return what was taken. Instead, they carry a quiet presence, a softness mixed with an unmistakable strength, a light that only a soul who has walked through darkness can hold. Carl Jung called this the maturation of the soul, the moment a human being stops living to avoid pain and instead begins to face it so deeply that transformation becomes inevitable. People who have passed through the soul's harshest passages stop searching for meaning outside themselves. They stop needing validation to feel worthy. They stop depending on the world to feel whole. A new calm rises within them, not passive but powerful, steady, rooted. There is a stage on the inner journey where everything becomes silent. The people who once surrounded you drift away. The relationships you leaned on become distant. The noise that used to distract you fades. You suddenly realize there is no one left to call, no familiar shoulder to cry on, no place to run, only yourself and a silence. So deep it feels like standing in an empty cathedral. At first, the silence feels terrifying. It feels like abandonment, punishment, emptiness. But slowly, as you stop resisting, something remarkable begins to happen. In that silence, your inner world becomes audible again. Jung once said that until we make the unconscious conscious, it controls our lives and we call it fate. When your life becomes quiet, your unconscious finally has space to speak. Most people fear loneliness, not because they lack people, but because they fear meeting themselves. So they distract, scrolling, talking, working, escaping. But when you've walked through your deepest pain, you stop running. You sit, you breathe, and the silence that once felt like a void becomes a sanctuary. You begin to feel something warm inside the coldness, your own presence. You begin to feel at home, not in a place, but in yourself. This is the moment the inner child stops fearing abandonment. This is the moment you realize you are no longer alone, not because someone came, but because you returned to yourself. And strangely, when solitude becomes your peace, your energy changes. People sense your presence. You become naturally magnetic, not because you try to shine, but because you don't need anything from anyone. From this stillness, another transformation begins. You start facing the parts of yourself you once ran from, the anger you denied, the jealousy you hid, the fears you minimized. Jung taught that we do not awaken by seeking light alone. We awaken by making our darkness conscious. Everything you suppressed eventually finds its way back to you, not to harm you, but to be understood. Those who avoid their darkness live in contradiction. They try to be good, polite, kind, endlessly forgiving. Yet inside, they burn with unspoken emotions. They smile while their soul trembles. They forgive while their heart aches. But when you sit with your own shadow long enough, you discover something surprising. The part you feared most is the part that holds your truth. Anger protects your boundaries. Jealousy protects your longing. Fear protects your wounds. When you listen instead of hiding, darkness becomes guidance, not danger. Once you make peace with your inner world, something even deeper shifts. You stop absorbing the energies and projections of others. People will still cast their fears, insecurities, and unresolved wounds onto you, just as they always have. But you no longer mistake their emotions for your identity. Someone's anger no longer means you failed. Someone's silence no longer means you're unworthy. Someone's criticism no longer means you are broken. You become steady, clear, rooted. You observe without absorbing. You listen without losing yourself. This is what Jung called individuation, the moment your consciousness stands on its own, no longer shaped by the opinions or moods of the world. You are no longer a mirror reflecting others. You become a lamp shining from your own center. And when the outer world stops controlling your inner state, a new voice becomes audible, the quiet, unmistakable voice of intuition. Not a guess, not a hope, but a deep knowing. Intuition appears when the mind is no longer clouded by fear or overwhelmed by noise. It becomes precise, almost like a compass, pointing you toward the path your soul already chose. Life begins to align. Synchronicities appear. Things fall into place with unusual clarity. A thought, a dream, a symbol, a strange coincidence. Suddenly they all make sense. This isn't magic. It's what happens when your inner world becomes clear enough to recognize the signals the unconscious has been sending all along. This is the rebirth Jung spoke of, where suffering becomes insight, where loss becomes light, where silence becomes strength, where intuition becomes wisdom, where your soul returns to itself, when you no longer run from pain, when you no longer fight your own shadow, when you no longer drown in the projections of others, when your intuition becomes clear as day. You step into a new stage of your evolution, a stage where you no longer chase anything, because everything meant for you begins to move toward you. As intuition grows stronger, you begin to sense something even deeper. Life is no longer happening to you. It is happening with you. The world that once felt chaotic starts revealing patterns, rhythms, subtle messages that guide you toward alignment. You feel when something is right long before logic understands it. You sense when a person carries truth or when they carry hidden wounds. You know when a path is closing and when another is silently opening. This inner clarity is the reward of every tear you once shed. And as this clarity deepens, another transformation unfolds, one that changes the way you move through the world. You stop rushing. You stop gripping tightly to outcomes. You stop forcing life to bend to your will. Instead, you begin to flow. The same situations that once triggered you now feel different. You watch your reactions instead of drowning in them. You understand your emotions instead of fighting them. You make decisions from a grounded place rather than from fear. There is a quiet steadiness in you that others can feel without a single word being spoken. This is the stage where emotional storms no longer control you. Not because you avoid them, but because you've learned to navigate them with awareness. You've walked through fire and realized it cannot burn what is real within you. You've faced losses and discovered that nothing essential can truly be taken. You've been alone and realized you are your own home. You've faced your shadow and found strength in the places you once feared. Because of this, life's ups and downs no longer shake you the way they once did. When someone leaves, you feel the ache but not the collapse. When something ends, you grieve, but you don't lose yourself. When uncertainty arrives, you breathe instead of panic. You begin to trust life deeply, instinctively, because you have seen yourself survive what you once believed would destroy you. And in that trust, a new kind of freedom emerges. A freedom that cannot be bought or taught. A freedom born from knowing that nothing outside you defines who you are. People around you notice the change. They may not understand it, but they feel it. You speak less, but your presence says more. You chase nothing, yet attract everything aligned with your spirit. You stop explaining yourself and start embodying your truth. You stop trying to convince, impress, or prove. The world's noise no longer drags you off course. You move with intention, with quiet confidence, with a sense of direction that comes from deep within. Some will be drawn to this light. Some will be threatened by it. But none of it sways you anymore. You have learned to walk your path without looking sideways. As this inner transformation continues, you begin to feel a shift in your heart. The hurt that once felt sharp becomes soft. Old wounds no longer dictate your identity. Memories that once triggered panic now bring understanding. You begin to rewrite your story, not by erasing the past, but by reclaiming its meaning. You realize that every ending was a beginning in disguise. Every heartbreak was clearing space inside you. Every disappointment was redirection. Every loss carried a message your soul needed to hear. Healing no longer feels like a battle. It becomes a returning, a remembering, a reunion with the version of you that existed before the world taught you fear. And soon, something even more profound awakens: compassion. Not the kind that exhausts you, but the kind born from understanding your own pain. You no longer judge people for their wounds. You see their fear beneath the anger, their longing beneath the stubbornness, their heartbreak beneath the bitterness. You understand humanity not through theory, but through experience. That is why your presence becomes comforting for others. You become someone who brings calm simply by existing. You become the person you once needed. And eventually, you reach a point where your life feels guided by something larger than your past. Your choices align with your intuition. Your relationships align with your values. Your path aligns with who you have become. You no longer fear the unknown because you finally trust the unfolding. You no longer cling to certainty because you trust yourself. Life stops feeling like survival and begins to feel like creation. This is the stage Jung described as the awakening of the self, the moment when the soul no longer lives in fragments, but becomes whole. A person who reaches this stage carries a quiet light, a steady gravity, a presence born from truth. They no longer search for themselves in the eyes of others. They have come home, and once you reach this point, life begins to move differently. Not faster, not louder, but clearer, smoother, more aligned. Because the world responds to a soul that is no longer at war with itself. And as you step into this new version of yourself, you begin to notice something extraordinary. The world no longer feels like an opponent you must endure, but a mirror reflecting the strength you've been building in silence. Every challenge that once intimidated you now reveals its purpose. Every setback that once felt unfair now shows itself as preparation. You stop chasing things that were never aligned with you. You stop begging for attention you never needed. You stop shrinking yourself just to keep temporary people comfortable. Instead, you rise quietly, steadily, naturally, not to prove anything, not to impress anyone, but because your soul is finally done with the versions of you that were built from fear. And when you move from fear to clarity, everything changes. People sense it. Even before you speak, opportunities appear, as if out of nowhere. Life begins to respond to you, instead of you constantly responding to life. This is the shift that happens when you choose yourself. When your energy stops chasing what drains you, the things that are meant for you begin finding their way back, without force, without pressure, without exhaustion. Stay patient with this transition. Stay loyal to your inner growth. The world may not understand your evolution yet, but soon they will. Because the moment you embody your true worth, the universe rearranges itself to meet you where you stand. But there is something even more powerful happening beneath the surface, something most people never notice in themselves. As you grow, your silence becomes louder than your words. Your absence becomes more meaningful than your presence used to be. And the people who once overlooked you suddenly start to feel the space you no longer fill, not because you changed to impress them, but because you changed to free yourself. You begin to realize that your energy was never the problem. You were simply offering it to the wrong places. Now the universe tests you in subtler ways. It asks, will you go back to what broke you or forward to what rebuilds you? Will you settle for familiarity or trust the unknown that calls your name? And the deeper you step into your true path, the more life reveals what was always meant to be yours. People who once doubted you start watching quietly. Those who underestimated you try to reconnect. Doors that were once closed begin to unlock without force. Because alignment does not need effort, only clarity. This phase of your journey is delicate but sacred. It demands that you walk with confidence even when you cannot see the outcome. It requires you to let go of attachments that no longer fit the person you're becoming. And most importantly, it asks you to trust your own transformation more than the opinions of those who fear it. Remember this: when your energy stops chasing, when your heart stops clinging, when your soul stops shrinking, everything that is meant for you begins to rise to your level. Not sooner, not later, but precisely when you're ready to receive it. So keep going, keep choosing yourself, keep becoming the version of you that doesn't need to be seen to be powerful. Because your breakthrough is not ahead of you, it's already unfolding inside you. And the world is about to notice. And as you walk further into this new chapter, something else begins to awaken inside you. A quiet certainty you've never felt before. It isn't loud. It isn't dramatic. It doesn't ask for permission. It simply whispers, you're not who you used to be, and you're never going back. This whisper becomes your compass. You start recognizing how much strength it took to rise from the places that tried to diminish you. You start realizing that your healing was never about becoming unbreakable. It was about learning that even when you do break, you rebuild yourself stronger, wiser, and more aligned than before. And with every small step forward, your inner world begins to rearrange itself. Your patience grows, your intuition sharpens, your boundaries turn into gates that protect your peace instead of walls that isolate you. Yet something surprising happens. As you rise quietly, people become curious. They begin wondering how you transformed without announcing it, how you became so stable while they stayed the same, how you outgrew the chaos they still entertain. Some will admire you. Some will fear your growth. Some will pretend not to notice. But trust me, they do, because evolution is impossible to hide. The way you speak changes. The way you walk into a room changes. The way you look at your future changes. Everything becomes grounded in a confidence that comes not from being praised, but from surviving what was meant to break you. And the most powerful part, life starts to reward you for every moment you refused to give up. Opportunities appear that once felt unreachable. Connections form that align with your purpose. The timing of everything starts to make sense, almost as if the universe was simply waiting for you to become this version of yourself. But the journey isn't finished. There's still a part of you learning to trust this new momentum. There's still a part of you healing from the versions of life where you had to fight for love, fight for acceptance, fight for your place in the world. Now you no longer fight, you attract. You no longer chase, you choose. You no longer try to fit in, you expand. And the more you honor this new self, the more life will meet you where your courage already stands. So keep moving, keep becoming, keep letting the world adjust to your frequency. Because the deeper you step into your truth, the more undeniable your presence becomes. Your silence will speak for you, your growth will introduce you, and your energy, the same energy you once doubted, will become the very reason everything begins to chase you. And the deeper you walk into this transformation, the more you realize something profound. Your life has been preparing you for this exact moment long before you even knew what you were becoming. All the nights you questioned your worth, all the moments you doubted your path, all the times you felt unseen, unheard, misunderstood. None of it was accidental. Every experience carved out the strength you stand on now. You begin to notice how your mind thinks differently. Your reactions slow down. Your emotions settle instead of spiraling. Your clarity becomes sharper than the noise around you. Where you once sought validation, you now seek truth. Where you once chased connection, you now choose alignment. Where you once feared being alone, you now protect your solitude like sacred ground. And this shift terrifies some people, not because you've done anything wrong, but because your growth highlights their stagnation. Your peace exposes their chaos. Your self-respect reminds them of the boundaries they never had. So they pull away. They gossip quietly. They watch from a distance, hoping you will shrink back into the old version of yourself. But you don't, because you've tasted what it feels like to belong to yourself. And nothing compares to that freedom. Slowly, the universe begins to rearrange your entire path. People you thought you needed fall away gently. People who match your energy appear effortlessly. Opportunities that once felt impossible now feel natural. And the timing of everything becomes too precise to be coincidence. You start to understand that nothing in your life was ever delayed. It was simply aligning with the moment you finally became ready. And as this realization sinks in, a new kind of strength rises within you. Not loud, not forceful, but unshakable. You begin moving with purpose instead of pressure. You begin trusting your decisions instead of second-guessing them. You begin walking into rooms with a presence that requires no introduction. Your silence becomes magnetic. Your confidence becomes contagious. Your energy becomes impossible to ignore. And the world responds, slowly at first, subtle signs, small shifts, gentle confirmations. Then all at once, doors open without you knocking, paths clear without you asking. People gravitate toward you without you chasing. Life begins flowing in ways that once felt out of reach. Because this time, you're not trying to prove anything. You're not trying to win anyone over. You're not trying to force what isn't meant for you. You're simply becoming who you were always meant to be. And that evolution, the quiet, steady, undeniable rise, is the very thing that changes everything. So keep going, even when the path feels uncertain, even when the old version of you tries to pull you back, even when others don't understand your transformation. Because one day soon, you'll look back and realize the moment you stopped chasing was the moment everything began aligning. Your energy is no longer running after what was never yours. Your soul is no longer carrying what is not meant for your future. Your heart is no longer settling for half love or half effort. This is your becoming. This is your rising. And the universe finally is rising with you. And yet, the most powerful part of your transformation hasn't even fully begun. Because there comes a moment in every person's journey when the inner shift becomes so strong, so rooted, so undeniable, that the outer world has no choice but to adjust. You start to feel this moment approaching long before it arrives. You notice it in the way your mind no longer entertains what drains you. You notice it in the way your intuition speaks louder than fear. You notice it in the way you no longer rush, chase, beg, or force anything to happen. Your pace changes. Your standards rise. Your spirit becomes grounded in a stability others can't understand. And suddenly life begins to feel different, not lighter, not easier, but aligned. Everything that once felt chaotic begins to settle into place. Everything that once felt confusing becomes clear. Everything that once felt overwhelming becomes manageable. Because growth doesn't make life perfect. It makes you unshakable. And people feel this. Some are drawn to your energy because it reminds them of the person they want to become. Some are intimidated because your growth challenges their comfort. Some distance themselves because your evolution exposes the parts of them still refusing to change. But their reactions are no longer your concern. You've stepped into a new season of your life. A season where your focus is on becoming, not proving. Where your intention is on healing, not pleasing. Where your energy is invested in purpose, not distraction. And as you rise into this version of yourself, you begin to understand the meaning behind every difficult chapter you lived. Those people leaving, they weren't meant to walk into your future. Those opportunities slipping away, they weren't aligned with your true path. Those moments of doubt, they were shaping your discernment. Your story wasn't falling apart. It was being rewritten in a language your old self couldn't yet understand. And now that you can finally read it, you see the truth. You were never behind. You were being prepared. Prepared to meet the people who speak your soul's language. Prepared to recognize real love when it finally arrives. Prepared to build a life that reflects your worth, not your wounds. Prepared to step into a reality where your energy leads and life follows. There comes a point where you no longer question your direction, because the path begins to reveal itself step by step. You start waking up with a quiet clarity. You start moving with intention instead of impulse. You start understanding that everything meant for you is drawn to the person you are becoming, not the person you once were. And the more you surrender to this truth, the more you feel the world shifting around you. You'll notice opportunities showing up without effort. You'll notice people entering your life with genuine connection. You'll notice blessings arriving in moments you least expect, not because you chase them, but because you grew into the person who deserves them. This is the turning point, the moment where your past can no longer reach you, your doubts can no longer stop you, and your fears can no longer define you. You have stepped into a new frequency, and everything that matches your energy will begin finding you. So breathe, trust, stay grounded, stay aligned. Your transformation is not slowing down, it's accelerating, and the world is only beginning to feel the impact of the person you're becoming.